What is up, everyone? Welcome once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer. Today, we've got a bit of a full program as teams continue to make up their roster for the upcoming season that starts tomorrow night. Who's excited about that? I know I sure am. So let's get started right away. Matt, Canucks naming a captain today. What's the news? What's going on?
Oh, they are not going with a team captain this year, unfortunately. I guess they're going to wait a year until they name Waiver the team captain. But they're going with four assistants with Alex Edler, Chris Tanev, Brandon Sutter, and, of course, Bo Horvat, all wearing the A's. The interesting thing is that maybe three of those four guys may not be Canucks by the end of this year, which will be interesting. But yeah, all the picks are not surprising at all. Maybe Eric Goodbranson, just because the Canucks are so high on him, could have been given an A, but can't go wrong with Edler and Tanev on the back end. And Brandon Sutter seems to be that veteran forward that they seem to lean on up front.
Yeah, nothing surprises me there. I was expecting if they didn't name a captain, if they did name a captain, if it wasn't Horvat, I was expecting it to be either Sutter or Edler. And Tanev, I mean, nothing surprising. There are lots of veteran presence. I disagree. Like I heard rumors that Goodbranson may be a captain, and I just disagreed with it because the way he's played, I don't think he'll be here a whole lot longer either. So, but I know Edler's got the no trade clause. He could be a free agent at the end of the year. Tanev potentially could still be moved, and Sutter, I think he's in his last year of his contract as well. It'll be interesting to see what the Canucks do with those guys. Horvat, as most of you know, was Matt's pick for the captain. So, weird situation with the Canucks today as Sam Gagner has cleared waivers, and instead of assigning him to Utica, they loaned him to the Toronto Marlies. So, what that does is it gives a better opportunity for Canucks prospects to get ice time. There's a veteran rule in the AHL, so they don't have to have a healthy veteran scratched every night, which means Sam Gagner can also play every night because Toronto didn't have enough veterans right now. And it allows Sam to live in Toronto, which is where he would prefer with his family. So very interesting. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, it's not really surprising. I think it's perfect. We've seen from last year around the NHL, like when Matt Molson got moved from the Buffalo Sabres, I believe he went to the LA Kings farm team in Ontario. And guys like Eric Fair, when he was with Toronto, I think he went out to the Anaheim Ducks farm team, I believe. So not a big surprise. I think that's really well deserved for Gagner, just with the entire situation with his family and everything. That the Canucks and the Marlies were able to work something out, that he'd be able to live in a good situation with his family, not have to go up and move again and really displace and have to find a new home and everything. So, but yeah, just perfect situation there for Gagner.
And of course, if the Canucks decide to recall him, they can do so at any time. So, interesting situation. I didn't know you could do that, but it is something that works, I think, for both the Toronto Marlies and the Vancouver Canucks. So, on to the next Canucks. The next Canucks thing before we get into more league stuff. Vancouver Canucks making a team rule today that players are not allowed to play Fortnite, the video game, while they're on the road. It doesn't surprise me because I'm an old school guy. The guys can go to the movies together. They can go to shows together. They can go to the restaurants and stuff together. It helps build team bonding. This way they're not locked up in their hotel rooms just playing video games with their friends back home or whatever. But, hey, that's not my generation, Matt. I know more people your age are doing this. What comes to mind when you heard this story?
Yeah, so I disagree with what Horvat said. I think there can be a balance between being with the guys and playing video games. Like there are like if guys are like Fortnite, I haven't played it myself, but apparently it's a really like a good interactive game that you can play with your buddies. But like guys like playing like NHL 19 and stuff, like you hear like Patrick Laine, that's like one of like his go-to things before games is to play a little bit of that. But like you can have that balance where it's like you can play like an hour on the video on the Xbox or whatever, and then if guys are going out to dinner, then it's like okay, then you still get that bonding experience. But especially with the younger guys like Elias Pettersson, like him playing Fortnite was a big thing in the off season. And of course, that Olli Juolevi rumor about him having the problems being addicted to the video games. But I think there can be a balance, especially it's just like guys like if you bring up guys like that have families or whatever, it's just like, oh, are they not allowed to stay up late or whatever at home just because they have a family, or if they have like a dog or something that they got to take care of and they're up late. It's like guys have like their own lives to do. It's just like video games, especially for the younger generation, like for the millennials as we're called, video games are a big thing, and I think there can be a balance to hang out with the guys, but still have like maybe like an hour or two where you're playing the video games, and you can still have guys come over and like NHL 19, you can have up to like 4 guys, I think, play at once or something like that. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a problem with some of the players, because most of the people I know that play Fortnite are usually playing it late into the night, where they get on at 9 o'clock at night. It's so addicting that come 3 a.m. they're still playing and they think it's only 11 o'clock. So it's very possible that it was a problem for some guys, and this is just one of those things to make sure their body's rested and that they're ready to go. I don't know all the details, of course, but I do know that it's an addicting game to those that play it. So moving on, there was a couple of notable signings today, a couple guys that were on PTOs, as well as some waiver wire pickups, which I think we were expecting after some of the names that were put on the waivers yesterday.
Yeah, so the Edmonton Oilers signed Jason Garrison and Alex Chason both to 1 year, $650K deals. Both were on tryouts with the team. Jason Garrison provides a little bit more veteran presence on that back end, with them moving out Jacob Urabek's contract that freed up the cap room, and also Andre Sekera going on injured reserve also freed up the room to sign both of these guys. And Alex Chason provides a little bit more of winger depth with the team. 4 waiver pickups today. Remy Ellie is going from Dallas to Buffalo. Toronto Maple Leafs lost both of their goalies that they put on waivers. Calvin Pickard going to the Philadelphia Flyers. He'll most likely be the backup there, and because Michael Neuwirth and Alex Leon are both injured to start the season, and Anthony Stolarz, I guess Philadelphia didn't have the biggest expectations to have him as the backup to start the year. So Pickard could still go on waivers after both guys are healthy. And Curtis McElhinney going to the Carolina Hurricanes with Scott Darling out at least a couple weeks to start the year. So that's another guy that could end up back on waivers. But with that, the Leafs goalie depth all of a sudden is very thin, with Garrett Sparks, who did not have a good preseason with the Leafs, starting as a backup, and leaving Casimir Kaskisuo, a Finnish goalie, as their third string goalie. Now, I probably butchered that last name, but that just shows just losing those 2 guys, the lack of depth that they have, and they could have handled the situation a little differently, putting one of the goalies on waivers earlier in the week and avoiding the waiver pickup. And then Dmitry Yaskin going from St. Louis to the Washington Capitals. This is one of the guys that I thought the Canucks could have tried to pick up, but he slipped through everybody in Washington, who I believe would have been the last team that could have claimed him, especially with the Tom Wilson suspension to start the year. What will be a good depth move, which I think I said in yesterday's show, I think he can still get around 30 points.
I know I skipped one of our major subjects, which we'll maybe save till the end. But fill us in with an injury report and some of the notable people that made rosters, some of the final rosters that came through.
Yes, so Jake Virtanen left with back spasms today at practice, so he looks like he'll be out to start the year. Brady Tkachuk will miss at least the season opener with an undisclosed injury. And Jacob De La Rose had a cardiac episode, so he didn't travel with the team, so that's something to keep an eye on. And as I brought up earlier, Scott Darling's out a couple weeks with a lower body injury to start the year. And then the team started playing out all their notable injuries going into the season on injury reserve. So there's a huge list. I won't run through them, but we've brought them up in past episodes. With some of the young guys making the team, the Edmonton Oilers first-round pick from this year, Evan Bouchard, and another defenseman prospect, Ethan Bear, both made the team. Matthew Joseph made the Tampa Bay Lightning, along with Barrett Hayton making the Arizona Coyotes the fifth overall pick in this year's draft. Is actually a big surprise there, making the team along with Dylan Strome. So those are a couple.
Why taken ahead of Philip Zadina?
Yes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm still shocked at that move because it's like I think everybody thought Zadina was going to go there, but they went with the center depth there. But yeah, we'll see. He'll probably only get the 9-game look with Arizona having 51 contracts right now, but Barrett Hayton's contract does not count against the 50 right now because he has to play 9 NHL games, and then either they'll have to make a move if he makes the team or send him back to junior because then they'll be over the limit of max contracts.
Excellent. Well, the big news of the day is on top of what we've already talked about. Seattle is getting that much closer to an expansion team. Looks like they're just one more voting period away from starting in the year 2020. Fill us in on that, and what do you think their team name is going to be called?
Oh man, I team names. I'm not sure. I think. What?
Really?
I remember there was a couple of team names that have been thrown out there, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But
my two favorite are the Seattle Totems and the Seattle Kraken.
Okay, yeah. The Totems. I've heard that one. I think that could be up there, especially with like the Thunderbirds. There that could be basically go along with those team names. But yeah, this is huge, especially for us here in Vancouver. It basically gives us that big rivalry that we've been needing. It's like we've had the Flames and the Oilers, but like a short distance like that would really go big ways. And Francesco Aquilini is very big into getting a team in Seattle there. But yeah, as soon as the 2020-21 season, that's huge news with them starting all the expansion stuff on the arena and remodeling it. So everything's in motion. So hopefully in a year or two here, we're going to get a team in Seattle.
Well, and Seattle likely is going to get the same expansion draft model that the Vegas Golden Knights got. So once that goes through, I mean, I think GMs need to have that time period to be able to make their rosters so that they lose as little as possible. I'm going to be curious to see what some of the teams do and probably the lack of trades that are made, seeing how Vegas absolutely hosed a few teams with some of the trades that they made prior to the expansion draft. But,
yes, it's going to be interesting, especially with Seattle having to pay more money than Vegas did. So they'll want the exact same stuff, the exact same expansion draft rules. If they're going to be paying basically twice as much that Vegas did, basically.
Yeah. Well, remember to like and comment on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave your comments below right here so that we can see what you're thinking about this upcoming hockey season. And we absolutely love bringing these shows to you. And we're going to continue to bring them to you guys Monday to Friday, except, of course, on holidays. So next Monday being a holiday here in Canada. we will not be on air. But remember to share it. Tell your friends about us. We love you. This is B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with Matt Balzer. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.